Hello, y'all. This is Lauren from Mama's Learning Corner. I'm so glad you came back and joined me today again here at YouTube. I have that's not true. I was getting ready to say, I just have one child left to go over with our curriculum choices for this year, but that is not true because I have yet to do my kindergartner. Shame on me. Okay, let's try that again. I have two left. I have two children left to share our homeschool curriculum choices with you for this 2022-23 school year. Today, I'm going to be showing you what my 12th grader is learning, my senior. Very bittersweet, very bittersweet. I'll try and keep the drama and the emotion down to a minimum. But yeah, so today we're talking about my 12th grader. Let's see what we've got. If you are new here and it's the first time you've stumbled on my channel, let me introduce myself to you quickly. I am Lauren. I blog at Mama's Learning Corner. I have for about the last, 11 years, I think. I have to think about it every single time. I think it's 11 years. So I have a blog of educational printables, hands-on activities, learning ideas, mostly for preschool to 4th, 5th, 6th grade, but I still talk about my big kids too because I have older kids. I have 5 children, a kindergarten boy, and then 6th, 8th, 10th grade girls, and then a 12th grade boy. So lots of extremes there. It is nutty and chaotic and beautiful and wonderful all at the same time. So we're probably in our 4th week of our current homeschool year as I'm recording this. So we've definitely had some time to get our feet wet with our curriculum. So let me show you what I've got for my senior. As I showed you in the other videos, the 6th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade videos, I'll link them down below if you want to watch those. I always start out with my planning sheet that I have for each particular child. They're all color-coded. My senior, my 12th grade boy is green, has always been green. It just helps make my life a lot easier. So everything's color-coded. Their tests and quizzes, the folders that I use for them, but especially this page because the green just lets me quickly see whose page this is. The things in yellow are the class times that he has with me. If you'll notice at the top 3 rows aren't completed because those are online classes and those haven't started yet. They start next week. And those 3 classes are with Memoria Press Online Academy. I cannot say enough good things about MPOA. My son Davis has taken multiple classes with them at this point, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Phenomenal teachers that have just really expanded his frame of reference in such a beautiful way. So we have been just totally pleased. This year he is taking 4 classes with them, but 2 of them are only semester classes. So let me show you what he's using for those first, and then I'll show you what we're using in the classes that he and I are doing together. So my oldest son is going to be taking High School Composition 3. So he took High School Comp 1 and 2, and it moves students through their classical writing method, which is the ProGym. So I'll link some information about that below. And I mentioned that in my 10th grade video. Like, I was not sure what to do about writing, and I was very undecided. Bottom line is, I took a leap of faith. We went with the ProGymnasmata as they teach it through Memoria Press, and I just could not be more pleased. I mean, could not be more pleased. So this year, my son is taking the last 3 of those levels. There's 9 levels total, I believe. And he's taken the last 3. So he'll work through classical composition 7, 8, and 9. And those topics are characterization, description, and then thesis and law. So he's really excited about that. He has a bent towards writing, maybe political writing or theological writing. He's not really sure yet. So this is just right up his alley. He loves it, just loves it. The other year-long class he has with Memoria Press Online Academy is Henley 3, which is essentially Cicero. And he's taking that with Mr. Hansen, who is so, like his frame of reference is broader than anything I could even dream of. And so he's able to bring in these little bits and pieces to every class. And Davis took Henley 2 with him. So he knows what he's getting into, and he is like so excited. So I'm really happy for him. He'll enjoy that as well. The last class that he's going to take, well, that's not true. He's taken a semester class of economics with Memorial Press Online Academy. So there's 2 only semester classes, and they're using Basic Economics by Sol and Economics for Helen. So that's going to be fascinating for him. He really enjoys current events, politics, theology. He really enjoys thinking about big, deep questions of life. In fact, he probably would rather think about questions that don't necessarily have an answer and just being able to ponder them. These classes are going to be so perfect for him. And the last one will be taken in the spring, but it'll be classical rhetoric. We'll take that with Memorial Press also. And they use Aristotle's rhetoric, of course, figures of speech. It has the textbook / workbook written by Mr. Cothran. And then, of course, Adler's How to Read a Book. Actually, if you haven't read this, this was a great book. I read this a couple of summers ago. It was excellent. It's one of those like continuing education books for homeschool mothers. And I found it to be really helpful for me personally. But I'm not a very well-read person, and I hadn't had a lot of guidance on how to read classics well. That was really helpful for me. So add that to your own list, moms, if that's something that you would be interested in. So before I go any further, let me just say this. One of the big homeschool, high school lessons I've learned over the last several years is that not every subject can be heavy. This may be obvious to you, but it was not to me. So I tried to make every subject heavy because if my child is capable and bright and is interested in things that are heavier, then why can't he or she, because I made the same mistake with my girl, why can't they have all subjects that are heavy? Well, it took a lot of them educating me that not everything can be heavy. There has to be some light subjects. And of course there do. I just was ignorant and didn't know. So it's one of those teaching moments for me as the homeschool mom. So that being said, you'll see that some of these are much heavier subjects. Memorial Press classes are almost always heavy. So I have to balance that out with some lighter things here. So you'll see that as we go through. The first thing I want to tell you about is literature. So this year for literature, I mentioned in the 10th grade video that I was able to combine my 10th grader and 12th grader a little bit in some subjects this year. It is going so well. It just makes my heart so happy that it's going so well. They enjoy the banter back and forth. They enjoy making sure they're the one with the right answer. I like that. It pushes them to get their work done on time. I mean, there's a lot of benefits. Those are just a few. For most of literature this year, my kids will be combined. They're going to split at the end, and I explained why in the 10th grade video, and I'll briefly mention it here. But what we started with so far is Hamlet. So that's going to run like our first 5 or 6 weeks. We're close to the end of it. So we're doing Hamlet together. They both answer the questions and then read the material, of course. And then we have class 2 or 3 times a week to talk about where we are in the story, what exactly is happening. And we go over all the beautiful Memorial Press questions that are there. They are typical Memorial Press style where they have, let me get to a spot. Of course, I chose wrong. Where they have definitions that, well, first, they always have reading notes in every section to just give you a heads up about what's coming in the story. And then they have definitions that are pertinent. And then comprehension questions, and those help guide the story along to make sure you understand what's going on in the plot with the characters. And then the Socratic questions talk more about literary devices and really help you understand what those are, examples of those. I'm not that great at that, so that's very, very helpful to me personally as the teacher. So Hamlet is what we're doing first. And then we're going to move on to the British tradition too. So it's a collection of poems and short stories from a particular time period. And I think there's 3. I think there's 1, 2, and 3. And so we're doing 2. which is 1485 to 1784. So Elizabethan to neoclassical age. So we're going to have a selection of these. Usually spend 1 to 2 days on a poem or short story. You know, they go pretty quick. I think this runs for about 8 to 10 weeks. So we'll take a good break with this. And then next we will do A Tale of Two Cities. So I'm still combining at this point. So my girl and my boy will both do this, 10th and 12th grade. So it also comes with the text, of course, with the workbook, which is the similar style for their upper grades that I just showed you. And then the teacher's guide, of course, that has the answers and just extra talking points. Then my kids will split off. So my 10th grader is going to do some American literature stuff. And then my 12th grader 12th grader and I together are going to read Anna Karenina. So that is going to be a feat. And I'll be honest, I'm a tiny bit scared because the book is 700 pages, but isn't it? Look how beautiful it is. In fact, I leave it on the front of my shelf because I think it is so pretty and I love to look at it. So we will see. I don't have any idea how this is going to go. I allowed, I think 11 weeks for it, 10 or 11 weeks for it. So the pacing, or maybe 12 actually. So the pacing will be doable for both of us. Because you can't discuss it if you haven't read it. We will see. I'll have to record a video once we get into this, but I'm so excited. I have not, I've never read any Russian literature. I hardly even know how to say it, as you saw. I mean, I stumbled over the name. So we will see. But I'm tickled to read it with them. So for those types of things where I haven't ever read the book, where I have no familiarity with it at all, those types of things we do together, meaning I read it at the same pace that he does. I don't have time to pre-read. I wish I did, because then it would be more like teaching, but this is like going through and discussing. And so that's all I have to give in terms of teaching, but it works out well. It works for us. So in addition to literature at home, my son and I are reading through City of God together, Augustine's City of God. Now, between Anna Karenina and City of God, I have felt, I'll be honest, way out of my league, like way out of my league. As you have probably heard me say, I was a nurse for 10 years before I stayed home with my children. So I just don't have the frame of reference for these types of readings, for this type of literature. So while I'm very excited to read all of these things, all of these really beautiful works, I'm also a little intimidated. I'm very honest with my son and my daughter about that. We're going to learn this together. I don't know how much I have to offer you in terms of teaching, but we can do it together, and we're going to learn it together. So that's the approach that I take with these texts that I've never read before. So here we go. I'll be able to tell you at the end of the year if this is going to work out well or not. So right now we're in book 2 of City of God, and I believe there's 22 total. And I paced this so it would take us the whole year, and not be rushed, because I feel like if there's anything worthy of studying, the things of the Lord are worthy of studying and should not be rushed. So we're going to take some time to really read it well, think about it well, and ponder it in our downtime. So that's the goal of this book. Now, so these are Memoria Press materials. It comes with a text, student book, teacher guide. But I'll be honest, I was sweating bullets when I realized that there was no there was no lecture series on this. An Iliad, Odyssey, Aeneid, some of those bigger, the Greek play, some of those bigger works, they have lecture series. Well, there's not one for City of God. And I was like, I don't feel like that's going to go well. So I searched and scoured all over creation to find one. And we are using the City of God lecture series from Grade Courses. I feel like that has a different name now. What is the new name? I don't remember, but Grade Courses was what we're using. I'll link it down below. And so far I've been very pleased with that. The lecturer is a little different, but once you get used to his style, it's easier to flow. There's one lecture series. They're about 30 minutes long. There's one lecture for every book to 2 to 3 books if the books are short. There's an excellent beginning section in that lecture series. Why Augustine wrote it, who his audience was at the time, what Rome looked like in 410 AD when they were sacked. So the background information is excellent, but I will give you a hint to wait for it to go on sale because I got it really cheap during a sale during the summer. So definitely keep your eye on it and wait on it if you're interested in using that. So we read about a book a week, and then he answers the questions. There's a little bit of vocabulary. He answers the questions. He does write a chapter summary on each chapter, just like bullet points, just to jog your memory of what the chapter summary is about. And then we have class together a couple of times a week and discuss it. And I love it. It is so good. I mean, it's just so good. That time with him is so rich. But keep in mind, he has a pretty good interest in theology and the way the world works. So these are passions of his. So it's easy to read and discuss with him. Next, my big kids are doing a world history year together. I mentioned in a different video that I searched all over creation for a 1-year survey of world history, and they're a little bit hard to find actually. But I settled on BJU's world history, and I'm so glad that I did. It is excellent so far. I have a different video planned to show you how I plan a textbook for a year. And so I've essentially read through most of the textbook because I needed to figure out how to pace it, and I also needed to plan it. So I didn't have to think about what I was doing each and every week. So now I just look at my plans and write down what's next. But I'll have a video about exactly how I do that. We love this so far. It's going really well. So there's a teacher's guide, and then there's the student text. And then this is the part of Memoria of BJU history that I love. And it's their student activities guide. In their history curricula, they use a student activities guide that has mostly primary sources. And that's where like the critical thinking piece really shines, I think, in BJU materials. So oftentimes I drop the questions and we do only the student activities. I especially did that in American government because that activities book is just A+ all the way around. But with the world history activities, there's only a few that I've skipped of those. Excellent. And then having them in class together gives us a good opportunity to discuss their answers, talk about what was going on in the world at that time. It's been really good. I'm so glad that it's worked out that I can combine them. That's been a real blessing for us so far. The BJU World History also comes with tests. It does not come with quizzes, but there's a chapter test for each one. And we complete those. I go through each chapter test, determine which questions are important for them to answer, and then that's how I assign the weekly questions from each section based on what the test is. Math. So, math has been a little bit of the thorn in the side. Let's just say it that way. So in high school, my son took geometry, algebra 2, junior year he took pre-calculus, and calculus was just going to be too much for this year. Could he do it? Absolutely. He was going to have to work at it, as everybody does. But he could definitely do calculus, but with these other subjects, he needed a lighter math than that. So what we are doing is consumer math from BJU. They had a new copyright out this year. And while he doesn't need the algebra type pieces from consumer math, they have excellent real life math, which is what consumer math is, right? So finding out what the mortgage will be on your home and your payment each month, figuring out how to get a car loan, what health insurance and life insurance look like, and then how to calculate those. So very much real life adult type math, which I think is really valuable. I think this will probably take us through 2/3 of his year. And then the last third, we're probably going to do some type of personal finance, but I don't know. I haven't chosen that yet. Number one, because I have some time. And number two, I barely have researched it, but I haven't found anything that I'm in love with. So I kind of want to, I just need some more research time with that. So since we're probably only doing 2/3 of this book or so, we'll do personal finance at the end. I think that'll work out really well for him. The last thing that my boy is learning his senior year is I'm having him take a health course. So his biology class, he took 9th grade at a private school. And, or was it 10th? I can't remember. But whatever year it was at the end of COVID. It was when COVID started. So that was just like a wash. That biology year was not so hot anyway, and it really went sour like from March on when they were doing learning at home. So I'm really disappointed how that biology turned out for him. That being said, he really needed the health course. And could he get by with that one? Of course. But anyway, I chose to assign him one anyway. And you know what? He has really risen to the challenge of it. I'm just tickled because we finally get to a course that I don't have to study for. So I was a nurse, you know, and like I just open up the book and I know these things. Like, it's so wonderful. This must be how like mathy people feel when they teach their children, you know, algebra 2 or algebra. You know, they can just open up the book and remember. Okay, that's not how I am for math, but thankfully that's how it's been for health, and I'm just so tickled. So there's not a lot of health curriculum on the market, actually, not that I found. But this Abeka, I'm just really pleased with it. It's the first thing we've ever used from Abeka. And I feel like it is so manageable. For some kids, this would be definitely a lighter class. You know, I mentioned like heavier classes versus lighter classes earlier. I feel like for a lot of kids, this might be a lighter class, especially if you did well in biology and you liked biology. A little bit of it is overlap. So body systems, you know, circulatory, respiratory, lymphatic, like those types of things, you probably got some of in biology. Vitamins and nutrients and how food works in your body, like those types of things. It does deal with conception. What else? Muscular system, skeletal system, you know, all of that. But that really was a big piece that my son was missing due to his not so great biology experience. So this is like in little bite-sized chunks, and I think it's worked out really well. It does come with a student text, comes with a teacher's edition. It comes with quizzes and tests, and then an answer key. So I've been super pleased with it. So for my son's senior year, I really wanted it to be a year for him of subjects that he enjoyed. He is definitely the lifelong learner type. He's passionate about several things in life, and he would much rather do those than school. I mean, that's just, yeah, he could spend 8 hours a day on the things that he's passionate about, 12 hours a day. And he would rather school be at a minimum. So I really wanted his last year in our homeschool to be something that he enjoyed. And between his Memoria Press classes, his online classes, and City of God and literature and world history that he's doing with me, he feels like this is doable, and it's exciting to him. So I really enjoy that I get to experience. I love that I get to experience that with him. He is so dear to my heart. I just, you know, it's so cliche, but it is so true though, that the time really does fly. You know, I have a little one in kindergarten, and the things that I do with him remind me of my big boy. So it just is very bittersweet to me. So I feel so privileged that I get to enjoy his senior year with him, and we get to read these magnificent works and talk about them, and I get to watch him grow as a person, but more importantly, grow in Christ. That is like the joy of my heart. So let me know what you're doing with your 12th grader. Do you have a 12th grader this year? How are you feeling about that? I'm feeling a little conflicted. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of emotion, right? So tell me what you're doing in the comments below, what your curriculum looks like. what you're most excited about to study with your 12th grader this year. What does that look like for you? I'd love to share all of that with you. If you have any ideas, suggestions, comments, you can leave them below, or you can email me, mama, M-A-M-A, at mamaslearningcorner.com. And I look forward to chit-chatting with you about all things 12th grade. Okay, I appreciate you watching today.